gutsy performance from Peter Gader. What a men's singles match there was, but there is more to come and another match to save it. As you can see in the men's doubles draw, Ko and Yu of Korea are already there. Will their compatriots of Jung and Lee join them, or is it going to be the #1's men's doubles pair of Fu Haifeng and Kai Yun, who will reach the final? Of course, 3 times men's double champions in the World Championships. Jill, it's hard, isn't it, just to carry on and pick up after the draining men's singles match that you've been watching, but in a way, what a perfect pick-me-up, if you like, after such a stunning match with these 2 pairs in action.
Yes, absolutely, because it's a repeat of the 2009 final, as you say. And what a thriller that was. That was 1 hour and 15 minutes, 28-26 in the deciding game in favour of Kai and Fu on that occasion.
Yeah, these pairs know each other very well. They've met him many times. And here are the 3 times champions, 2006, 2009, 2010. So they're looking for a hat-trick title successively here. #1 in the world. Coming to the week in perfect form, really. Having won their last event in Indonesia. And so far, well, as you can see, there was a few struggles along the way. Round 2, 3 games against the Russians, Ivanov and Sozanov. And against the Japanese pair of Kawaime and Sato as well. Happened to win in 3 sets after losing the middle one. But yesterday against that's Conrad Pedersen and Jonas Rasmussen, they were really emphatic. And that was more like what we were expecting from Kai and Fu. So here's who they take on: Jung Jae-sung and Lee Yong-dae. Seeded #3, world ranking of #3. A very experienced pair, as you can see, closing in on 250 matches together. Silver medal winners twice together. So they've twice been in the final, of course, as Jill was suggesting there, in 2009 by Kai and Fu. 3 victories this year. They've won the Korean Open Super Series, they won in Thailand, they've won in Germany. Been in a few finals as well. This is how they got here. Round 2, beating Clark and Langridge, 21-10, 21-16. Straight sets as well against their teammates Endo and Hayakawa. And again, fairly impressive. It was a bit of a struggle in the 2nd set, but coming through again in straight games against Hong and Shen of China. So these are 2 partnerships that are very well established, go back a number of years, and they'll know each other's games pretty well, Jill.
Yes, indeed, as we look at Go-Si Yang, our umpire.
"14 times they've met in official ranking events. They've met in other places, or Asian Games, of course, fairly recently as well. But in the official ones, it's 7 apiece. But you look at the most recent meetings, which is quite interesting. And in fact, Jung and Lee have actually won 5 of the last 7. You can see the last meeting on there actually went to Kai and Fu. But the Koreans have shaded, if you like, over the last year or so.
Yes, and you know, I thought the Koreans were really beginning to get the measure of the Chinese pair, and then all of a sudden at the Singapore Open, prior to coming to this event, the couple of Super Series events in Asia, suddenly Kai and Fu once again on top of their game. I have to say that the Chinese squad do prepare for these major championships so well. They peak at the right times.
On my right, Kai Yun, Fu Haifeng, China. On my left, Jung Jae-sung, Lee Yong-dae, Korea. Yong to serve to Yun. Love all, play.
So Lin Dan still has the chance of winning a 4th gold medal. And of course, Kai and Fu have a similar possibility ahead of them as well. But first, they've got to put past this tenacious Korean men's doubles pair of Jung and Lee. Just long from Lee.
Service over. 1 love.
Well, the 2009 final was a classic between them, and there's some that consider this already a final, but that I think would be disrespectful to Ko and Yu already there.
Service over. 1-all.
Goodness me, what happened there?
2-1.
He must have been watching his opponents rather than watching the shuttle.
Yep, there's an air shot.
Well, it was a mishit.
3-1.
He immediately apologises.
Service over. 2-3.
He's got some power, hasn't he, at the back foot?
Haifeng holds the record as the fastest smash in competition play. It's not bad for an early stage, is it? 280.
He was knocking on 300 yesterday. It's over a decade since Korea have triumphed in the men's doubles in World Championships. Of course, with one pair already there, chance to make it an all-Korean final, but what a stumbling block ahead of them.
Five, 3. Service over. 4-5.
Yeah, didn't seem to time his jump properly on that one.
Get the feeling, you know, we talked about it in earlier matches. You were thinking that Peter Gader needed to win it in 2 straight games to win, and we were talking about some of the underdogs, whether they had to have fast starts. You really feel in this game it might not make that much of a difference, really, who starts well here, because it's going to be how they finish.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, all 4 players on court are so experienced. And they're all, you know, they've been at the top of the world game for so many years.
starting to warm up. Yeah, everything Fu can do, Kai can do too.
The defensive play of the Koreans is absolutely superb. Against virtually any other pair in world badminton, that rally would have been finished off considerably quicker than that.
There we go. Fastest of the match so far.
Service over. 6-7.
A mere 277 from Lee Yong-dae.
Yeah, and he's had elbow problems. He's had injury problems that kept him out of the game for a little while. And to think that he's smashing at that speed when it's quite obvious he's not smashing as hard as he was when he won his Olympic gold medal in the mixed doubles.
Yeah, his mixed doubles partner now retired, of course, and he's fully focused this week on the men's doubles.
Haifeng just hitting long.
7-8.
I always think with the Chinese pair that, you know, you've already talked about the fact that Fu Haifeng, oof, goodness me, that was close. That Fu has got such a good smash and Kai-Yun is so sharp at the net. And I always think that Fu Haifeng doesn't look that comfortable to me when he comes to the front of the court. It's an area where he's really been working. He has improved, but I still think it's not a weakness, because you can't describe world champions as having weaknesses. But, you know, it's an area where he could still improve.
Compared to the other departments of his game.
Yeah.
Both pairs clashing rackets at various points in that rally. Both sides so keen to grab the upper hand here. Slender lead right now for the world #1 pair. See, this is men's doubles at its best. These fast, furious exchanges, the skill, the reactions.
The reaction speed is just extraordinary.
It's mesmeric.
It's brilliant.
Such intensity from both pairs, such concentration. Well, what a start to this match.
What a tremendous smash from Yong.
Well, the Koreans ahead, but yeah, just, only just. Every point gratefully received. 278 that smash from Lee. Pretty on par with his previous one. 11-10 they lead. Well, we weren't too wise as to who was going to win this game before it started, and we're none the wiser right now, are we, Jung?
No, not at
20
all.
seconds. 20 seconds.
Three victories apiece this year. And the badminton this morning was super, but tonight it's been of such a high standard. Right through the centre of them.
Yeah, the channel attack. But that shuttle landed before it got to Yong, which just shows it wasn't. He's very, very fast smash, 280, and yet he's still got the angle. He must have. Well, it'd be very interesting to see, or if we could measure how high he's jumping. No doubt we will have that technology in the not too distant future.
13-11.
And 2 points is as big a lead as anyone's had in this match so far. And that's the way it remains.
It's a clever smash there because it was virtually half pace. Jung Jae-sung not able to feed off his opponent's power. Oh, it's too flat. It's gone long at the back line.
Disappointing shot from Jung after his teammate Lee that played this from the floor.
4 straight points for the Chinese combination.
Still no decisive edge though.
14-15.
Very clever from Yong.
16-14.
Real interesting character is Yong. Back in 2001, he had to have heart surgery. Here he is at the top of World Badminton. Also has a tattoo across his back, written in English, which says "Face of Adversity," which I find very interesting.
Have you seen?
I have. Yep. His obviously when these players play in the Far East, and it might well happen here, you know, that they're working so hard, they, you know, are perspiring so heavily that players, we've seen it in the men's singles, change shirts after the first game, and certainly with Yong. That's why I took particular notice, you know, because, you know, I didn't expect to have something written in English, and being able to see that, and, you know, and to choose such words as well. He loves the big match occasion, and
Well, he certainly got one here.
Service over. 15-17.
married to one of the Olympic synchronized swimmers, Yong.
Well, someone had that 3-point advantage. It's been reduced to 2 now. It's long.
Service over. 18-15.
Seen from here, I don't want to take anything for granted in this match, but it would seem from here that Yong and Haifeng are closing in on this first set.
Service over. 16-19.
Can't say anything with these 4 players with anything of any great surety. But there are game points.
Yeah, and an indication of how he has worked on his net plate.
Service over. 18-20.
Great anticipation there from Yong.
Well, it's the opening game to Kai-Yun and Fu Haifeng. You just wonder whether that's a decisive breakthrough or the start of a roller coaster ride here. You get the feeling we could be in for another three-setter. We shall see. 21-18, the winning scoreline there. Energetic performance from both pairs. What do you think the difference was in that opening set?
Well, it only came down to a couple of points, didn't it? But I did think that, in general terms, the Chinese pair were more willing to attack. I am slightly concerned, though, about the amount of strapping on Kai-Yun's left calf muscle. Yeah, that's obviously a new injury.
Well, it was a super first set. Now have Jung and Yong got it in them, as they have in the past, to turn this match on its head. We're just noticing at the interval, Jill, about that strapping on Kai-Yun's ankle. He seemed to be moving without any problems in the first set.
Yeah, he seemed to be moving great, actually. But, I mean, I don't think that we saw so much strapping on his calf muscle there, did we, earlier on in the tournament? He's obviously got a niggly little injury that's got slightly worse. Unbelievable defence.
What a start to the second set.
This is tremendous.
You can always measure how good a point is by the number of oohs and ahs inside the auditorium. And there were lots during that opening exchange here in game two.
Yeah, I was talking about the fact that, in general terms, it was the Chinese pair who had more of the attacking play. I think probably the big difference in the match is Kai-Yun, because when he does get the opportunity to get involved at the net, very rarely misses. He's very decisive.
Brilliant defensive shots from him there as well. A rare miss from Fu.
Service over. 1-2.
Did have a reputation a number of years ago, Fu Haifeng, of getting very nervous in pressure situations.
Service over.
Serve was short.
3-1.
But when you've won this title 3 times, the All England on 2 occasions, when you've won 4 consecutive Thomas Cups, 3 consecutive Surin Cups, you've picked up silver at the Olympics. You've obviously dealt with the pressure in the end.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest, that 2009 World Championship final in Hyderabad against this Korean pair, I think that dispelled a lot of the myth, because the Chinese pair, I've already said it was an absolute thriller. They saved 2 match points and won the title on their 5th match point, and the tension was just incredible.
It goes down, doesn't it, as one of the all-time great World Championship matches. Which is why, even though they're set up here, Kai and Fu, and they are 4-2 up in this second, you just hesitate in saying that the tide is turning completely their way. Brilliant.
Push wide.
They've not been too complimentary about this Wembley Arena of Kai and Fu, but I think if they did come away with gold this week, they might tend to like it a bit more.
Yeah.
They'll be back next year, that's for sure. Going for gold this time after their silver in Beijing.
Service over. 3-6.
Incredible. Literally did the splits there. Jung Jae-sung.
4-6.
Oh, he's run off and changed his racket.
Unbelievable. And he's won the point. He's come back. Didn't have to play it with the new racket, but Kai Yun, well, that's a bit cheeky, isn't it?
Fu Haifeng suddenly disappeared off. He knew that he'd broken the strings in his racket. Look, there he goes. Over to you, partner.
He did it pretty quickly, I have to say.
Yeah, players are very astute about having a racket ready at the side of the court. Seen it several times in men's doubles.
But it's better to run off, I suppose, and grab a racket that's going to work than be standing there with one that doesn't.
Yes, it's worth the chance.
Yeah.
Worth the risk.
They took the point.
Yes, as seen there. Because the other thing is that, you know, when something happens on the opposite side of the court and a player runs off, it's very difficult not to get distracted by that when you're the opponents. You see something happening, you see it out of the corner of your eye, and you probably change your choice of shot than instinctively what you would have done. And that's when you start making errors.
As they did. Yeah, that's a very good point. Jung putting everything into this one. Great height. Power wasn't too bad either. There you go, 284. Still not quite up there with the 289 from Kai in this match.
Oh, that's landed in.
6-7.
Oh, yes, right onto the line. That is powerful and precision, aiming towards the right shoulder of Jung Jae-sung. Yeah, great placement.
It's a nice lead they've got here, Jung.
Yeah. You know, I did wonder prior to the championships, I think you and I talked about it, whether Jung Jae-sung was actually going to be match fit. You know, we've seen that he's got his right, well, we're not quite sure whether it's ankle or calf muscle, heavily strapped. But more significantly, Jung Jae-sung didn't go and play in the US and Canada, whereas his partner did, and teamed up with Yong. And there's obviously been an injury problem with Jung Jae-sung. There he is. But he's looking pretty sharp.
There it is. And that was in the most recent couple of events, which is only in the last 2 or 3 weeks that he decided to stand out of things. And Yong and his new partner, they won both events.
Yeah.
Of course, Ko's actually in the final already of this men's doubles.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
That's twice as good.
This is just brilliant, isn't it? How do you break down the defence?
Mustn't lose patience. Hitting it that hard.
Yeah, good placement as well across the body.
What a point, though.
Fantastic. And the last smash he hit towards Jung Jae-sung's right shoulder, that time aiming across the body.
2-9-3. Not quite his fastest of the week, but fastest of the match.
It's about 182 miles per hour. That's extraordinary.
But as you said, what can he do to win the point? Put everything behind it.
Service over. 8-10.
Yeah. Last two rallies, Yung's looked a little bit fatigued. Two tired-looking shots.
Well, it is nearly 10 o'clock at night here in London. But I do take your point.
Well, we had that tremendous rally, didn't we? Really physical rally. Lots of attacking shots from the Chinese players. Physically draining.
10-all now.
Look at the jump on that smash. Goodness me.
Just a whisker away, wasn't it, as well? Well, once again, at the interval, the lead is 1. Last time, of course, it was a Japanese advantage, and it was, of course, Haifeng and Haifeng that took the eventual set. Now it's they who have this slight 11-10 lead.
然后你的擦球现在他们的兵线慢慢在注意了，你有的时候可以结合攻下中路，可以攻一下，但再打回来，还是不能全部中的，轻松配
Still sense this could be a 3-set match, don't you?
Yes, definitely. And, you know, I've noticed every time that there's an interval or change of ends, Yong is taking off his shoe. It looks to me as if he's got in a sports orthotic there.
Yes, he has, yeah.
And I wonder if maybe he's got a new orthotic there and it's just thrown out his balance slightly, which would cause perhaps muscle spasm or cramp at night or something in his calf muscle. But it's obviously he's not entirely comfortable with it.
11-10, play.
Super.
Re-energized from the little break.
Yep. Can't afford to hit anything loose at the net. To Yong, it's far too sharp.
Wow. We've seen that a few times. Today there's a little slip for the Yong Day. Lead here, 3 points now. Not surprising, off balance. Did everything to reach it. And I don't know how he got it back personally the second time.
Oh, that's clever. Very, very clever from Yong Day. Great disguise.
That was the splits, wasn't it?
I just don't know how he does that.
Only just long too. got to be careful here of Jung and Lee that this set doesn't start to get away from them.
Yeah, well, I said in the opening game I thought it was Kai-Yun who made the difference. He certainly made the difference in that rally. Stands his ground at the net. Shuttle had actually gone past him. Still managed to control it.
Suddenly, there's a big gap now between these pairs.
Yeah, 5-point cushion. He's pushed it long. This, one suspects, is the decisive move from the Chinese pair. There we go again. The power play from the back from the left-hander, Haifeng. And then Kai-Yun reading the shot at the net.
So just 3 more points required here for Kai and Fu. And another shot at the gold medals awaiting them. Service fault though called.
Roll 18.
Andrea Chiappini, the service judge.
Yeah, good spot.
Well, they're hanging in, aren't they, the number 3 seeds. They're looking to make the final for the 3rd time, the world number 3 pair, but it's a long way away right now, even with that point.
Good judgment. Very good judgment.
Massive mouth player in that one.
And that time, shuttle lands in.
14-19.
Still a healthy lead, though. 45 minutes on court. Match points have arrived.
Match ball 14.
There will not be an all-Korean men's doubles final because Fu Haifeng and Kai Yun have come through in straight sets here against Jung Jae-sung and Lee Yong-dae. A very good performance from the world #1 pair, who now have the opportunity to win this world title for a 4th time. 21-18, 21-14. The winning scoreline. So for the second time in a row, they beat the Japanese pair who seem to have been getting the beating of them lately. And there's another Korean pair that they take on in the final tomorrow. So, of course, in the final of this men's doubles, they'll be meeting Ko Seong-kyun and Yoo Yeon-seong, who won earlier today against the Indonesian pair of Hassan and Septane.